Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. This one's for the ladies. I see you out there, heart on your sleeve, mind spinning, tears ready to fall. And you're thinking, if I just text him one more time, if I just call him one more time, if I just beg him to come back, stop right there. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Stop begging, pleading, or chasing. Maintain your self-respect. Now, ladies, I want you to really hear me on this because I see it all the time. And I know you've been there. You've been sitting on your phone at 2 a.m. staring at those little 3 dots, hoping that he's typing something back, praying that he'll answer, praying that he'll come back, praying that he'll say, I was wrong, I miss you, let's try again. And let me tell you something, that right there, that little desperate hope, that is exactly what I'm talking about when I say stop begging, stop pleading, and stop chasing. It's one of the hardest things to do because your heart is screaming, your emotions are in chaos, and your mind is running 1,000 miles an hour. But here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you: when you chase a man, you lose yourself. You're handing over your power, handing over your dignity, and letting your self-worth become something that he can play with. And I know that's not what you want. You don't want to feel small, insignificant, or desperate. You don't want to feel like your happiness depends entirely on whether or not he chooses to come back. You want to feel strong. You want to feel in control. You want to feel like you are the prize, and that takes stopping the begging, stopping the pleading, and stopping the chase. Now, let's break this down because I want you to understand why this is so crucial. First of all, when you start begging or pleading, when you're texting him constantly, calling him, showing up at his door, or doing anything that makes you look desperate, you're sending a message. Not the message you want, but the message he's going to read loud and clear. You're saying, I can't live without you. My happiness depends on you. I'll do anything to make this work, even if it means lowering my standards. And what does that do to him? It pushes him away. Yes, it pushes him away. Because men, and I'm saying men in general, not all men, but in general, men are wired to chase. They are wired to pursue, to work for something, to fight for something that seems valuable. When you hand it over on a silver platter without him having to work for it, he doesn't value it the same way. He doesn't appreciate it the same way. And then what happens? You start feeling hurt, rejected, confused, and frustrated. You start wondering, why doesn't he care? Why isn't he coming back? Why isn't he realizing what he's losing? And the reality is he is realizing it. He just doesn't respect what's freely given. And that's why the first step, stop begging, is so powerful. It's not just about pride or ego. It's about reclaiming your power and sending a message that says, I am worth more than being begged for. I am worth more than being chased. I am worth respect. And if you want in, you're going to have to step up. And I know, some of you are thinking, but if I don't reach out, if I don't chase, won't he just walk away forever? Let me tell you something, he might. But here's the thing, do you want a man who stays with you because you begged him? Or do you want a man who stays with you because he wants to be there, because he chooses to be there, because he respects you, because he sees your value? That's the difference between desperation and dignity. That's the difference between heartbreak and healthy love. And ladies, this is where so many of us go wrong. We confuse love with neediness. We confuse caring with chasing. And we forget that the most magnetic, irresistible women are the ones who don't beg. They don't plead. They don't chase. They maintain their composure. They maintain their self-respect. And they know that their value is not determined by whether or not a man is present in their life at any given moment. Think about it for a second. Have you ever noticed how some women seem to have men falling over themselves to be with them, while others are constantly worried, constantly texting, constantly begging for attention? There's a clear difference, and it's not about looks, money, or even charm. It's about self-respect. It's about energy. It's about understanding that your time, your attention, and your love are not cheap. They are not something to throw at anyone who happens to be willing to take them. When you maintain your self-respect, you are telling the world, and him in particular, that you are not available for just anyone. You are not someone who can be taken for granted. You are someone who knows her worth, and that confidence is magnetic. It draws the right people in, it filters out the wrong people, and it ensures that when a man wants in, he is coming in for the right reasons. Not because you begged, not because you pleaded, but because he sees what he is missing, and he knows he has to rise to meet it. Now, Let's get real for a moment. I know it's not easy to stop chasing. I know it hurts. I know the anxiety, the longing, the what if questions that plague your mind. I know the temptation to reach out just one more time or just to check in. And I get it because emotions are powerful. They're strong. They are primal. But here's the part that most people don't realize. The more you fight the urge to chase, the more control you take over your life. The more you fight the urge to beg, the more dignity you reclaim. Every time you don't send that desperate text, every time you don't make that unnecessary phone call, every time you choose to step away instead of chase, you are building your strength. You are building your boundaries. You are building your self-respect. And let me tell you, self-respect is not just a concept. It's an energy. It's a vibration. It's something that others can feel when they are around you. It's something that commands respect without you having to demand it. And that energy, that strength is far more powerful than any words you could text, call, or plead with someone to say. Another thing I want you to understand is that begging and pleading are not love. They are fear. They are insecurity wrapped in emotion. They are a fear of being alone, a fear of losing someone, a fear that you won't find better. But let me tell you something, love should never feel like desperation. True love, the kind of love that lasts, that elevates, that nourishes, it thrives in respect, in dignity, in mutual appreciation. If you have to beg for it, if you have to plead for it, it's not love, it's a transaction, and in transactions, someone always loses. Don't make yourself the loser. Don't hand over your heart in exchange for attention. Don't hand over your self-worth in exchange for validation. You are too valuable for that, and deep down, you know it. And I know some of you might be thinking, but what if he never comes back? What if he doesn't care? Let me ask you a question. How do you want him to come back? Do you want him to come back because he feels guilty? Do you want him to come back because he sees you crying and pleading? Or do you want him to come back because he sees a woman who has her life together, who values herself, who doesn't wait around for anyone, and realizes that he has to step up to meet her at her level? Which one is going to make him respect you more? Which one is going to make him appreciate you more? That's right, the latter. And the only way to get there is to stop begging, stop pleading, and stop chasing. Ladies, this is not about being cold, distant, or unfeeling. This is about being wise, being strategic, and being in alignment with your true worth. It's about understanding that your love, your attention, your time, your presence, they are sacred. And sacred things are not given away freely to anyone who doesn't recognize their value. When you stop begging, you are making a statement that you will not settle for less than you deserve. You are making a statement that you will not compromise your dignity for temporary comfort. You are making a statement that you are strong, independent, and worthy of respect. And when a man finally realizes that, he will either rise to the occasion or step aside. And either way, you win because you maintain your self-respect. And let's not forget, maintaining your self-respect is not just about him. It's about you. It's about your mental health, your emotional stability, your self-esteem, and your peace of mind. When you stop chasing, you stop the emotional roller coaster. You stop the anxiety, the tears, the what-ifs. You reclaim your time, your energy, and your happiness. You give yourself the space to grow, to thrive, to focus on your goals, your dreams, your passions. And when you do that, you become unstoppable. You become magnetic. You become a force that is admired, respected, and yes, desired. Not because you begged, not because you pleaded, but because you radiate confidence, dignity, and self-worth. So when I say stop begging, stop pleading, and stop chasing, I want you to understand that this is not a passive action. This is not doing nothing. This is not giving up. This is a deliberate, powerful choice. It's a choice to honor yourself, to protect your heart, and to set the standard for how you are treated. It's a choice to live on your terms, to demand respect, and to recognize that your value is not negotiable. It's a choice to be the prize, to be the woman that others have to earn, to be the woman whose love is not cheap, whose time is not free, and whose presence is a gift, not a given. And in making that choice, something incredible happens. You start to see yourself differently. You start to feel differently. You start to operate from a place of power instead of fear. You start to recognize that your happiness is not dependent on someone else's presence. You start to understand that when you respect yourself, others are compelled to respect you as well. And that, ladies, is the game changer. That is the moment when you stop being the one who chases and start being the one who commands respect, admiration, and yes, love, but on your terms, in your timing, and in alignment with your self-worth. Focus on yourself, grow, shine, and become the prize. Ladies, I want you to really understand what this means, because too many of us get caught up in trying to fix someone else's life, trying to fix a relationship, trying to hold on to someone who isn't fully committed, and in the process, we lose sight of the most important person in the room, ourselves. Let me tell you, you cannot be the prize if you are not fully living, fully shining, fully growing. And I don't just mean looking good or dressing nice, although yes, that helps. I mean cultivating your mind, your spirit, your passions, your goals, and your happiness in such a way that people cannot help but notice your light. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but I want him to come back. I want him to see me. I want him to realize what he's missing. And I get that. I understand that. But here's the thing. If you focus on him, on what he's doing, what he's feeling, what he's not doing, you're putting your energy in the wrong place. Your energy should be on yourself. You should be on your growth. You should be on your shine. Because when you do that, you become magnetic. You become irresistible. You become the prize he can't ignore. The woman he realizes he has to step up to keep. And the woman he will respect because she respects herself. Let's talk about growth for a minute. Growth is not just about going to the gym or eating right, although those are great things. Growth is about becoming a better version of yourself every single day. Growth is about learning, evolving, becoming wiser, more confident, more independent. Growth is about investing in your mind, your skills, your passions, your career, your spirituality. Growth is about waking up every day and asking yourself, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? And when you do that, ladies, you start to create a life that is so full, so vibrant, so compelling that it becomes impossible for someone to walk back into your life without recognizing your value. Because let me tell you something, there's nothing more attractive than a woman who knows who she is, who knows what she wants, and who is fully committed to becoming the best version of herself. That energy, that confidence, that presence is what makes a man realize, whoa, I want to be a part of that. I need to step up. I need to rise to meet her level. And that is how you become the prize. Shining is another critical piece of this. Shining is not about arrogance. It's not about showing off. It's not about posting everything on social media. Shining is about being comfortable in your own skin, about radiating positivity, joy, confidence, and authenticity. Shining is about laughing, smiling, moving through life with energy that is contagious, magnetic, and undeniable. Shining is about having a presence that makes people want to be around you, a presence that makes people notice you, a presence that makes someone realize that life is better when you are in it. And when you shine, when your energy is full, when your joy is unshakable, when your confidence is high, you become the prize without even trying. You don't have to chase attention. Attention naturally comes to you. You don't have to beg for love. Love seeks you out because you are whole on your own. And that, ladies, is the power of shining. Now, becoming the prize also means creating boundaries. Growth and shine aren't just about personal development. They're about self-respect. They're about showing the world and him that you are not available for anyone who doesn't recognize your worth. You are not just someone who exists to make someone else happy. You are not a placeholder. You are a queen, and a queen doesn't allow anyone to take her for granted. When you focus on yourself, when you grow, when you shine, you naturally set the standard for how you will be treated. And let me tell you, that is something men notice immediately. Men notice confidence. Men notice energy. Men notice joy. And when they see a woman who is living her best life, they can't help but take notice. They can't help but realize she is something special. I need to show up for her. I need to step up. I need to appreciate her. Let me give you a little story here. I know a woman. Let's call her Lisa. Lisa was in a situation where she was constantly chasing a man who didn't appreciate her, constantly texting, constantly begging, constantly pleading for attention. She was drained. She was exhausted. Her self-esteem was low because she was investing all of her energy into someone who wasn't meeting her halfway. One day, she decided enough was enough. She made a choice to focus on herself. She picked up a new hobby, started exercising, took a course to improve her skills at work, started going out with friends, laughed more, smiled more, and really started shining. She wasn't doing it to get him back. She wasn't doing it to prove anything. She was doing it for herself. And guess what happened? He started noticing. Suddenly, he was calling, texting, showing up. But this time, he wasn't chasing her because she begged. He was chasing her because he saw the new energy, the growth, the confidence, the shine. He realized he had to rise to her level to be part of her life. And that, ladies, is exactly what happens when you focus on yourself. Now, I know some of you might say, but what if I focus on myself and he never comes back? And here's the truth. It doesn't matter. Because when you focus on yourself, when you grow, when you shine, you are creating a life that is full, vibrant, and joyful regardless of anyone else. You are no longer dependent on someone else for your happiness. You are no longer defined by someone else's choices. You are no longer living in the shadows of someone else's indecision. You are fully alive, fully radiant, fully in control of your own destiny. And that, ladies, is empowerment. That, ladies, is what it means to become the prize. Becoming the prize also means understanding your worth. It means knowing that your time is valuable, your energy is valuable, your love is valuable. It means knowing that you are not a backup plan, a temporary fix, or someone to be taken for granted. It means knowing that you deserve someone who sees you, who appreciates you, who respects you, and who wants to be part of your life for the right reasons. And the only way to attract that kind of love, that kind of respect, that kind of partnership is to focus on yourself first. Because when you are whole, when you are growing, when you are shining, when you are confident, you naturally attract people who are aligned with that energy. You don't have to chase. You don't have to plead. You don't have to beg. The right people come to you because your energy is undeniable, your presence is magnetic, and your value is clear. And let's not forget the mental and emotional benefits of focusing on yourself. When you invest in your growth, when you shine, when you become the prize, you reduce anxiety, stress, and emotional turmoil. You no longer feel desperate or dependent on someone else's attention. You no longer feel the constant worry of, does he like me? Does he care? Will he come back? Instead, you feel empowered, confident, and in control. You feel a sense of peace because your happiness is no longer tied to someone else's choices. You feel a sense of fulfillment because you are actively creating a life that you love, regardless of anyone else. And that sense of fulfillment, that sense of peace, that sense of empowerment is magnetic. It draws the right people into your life. It commands respect. It commands admiration. It commands love, but love that is real. Love that is mutual. Love that is based on respect and appreciation. Now, let's talk about confidence for a moment because it's one of the most attractive qualities a woman can have. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance, and it doesn't mean perfection. Confidence means knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing your value, and being unapologetic about it. Confidence means walking into a room and commanding attention without having to say a word. Confidence means making choices that honor yourself, your values, and your boundaries. Confidence means not settling for less than you deserve and not giving your energy to someone who doesn't appreciate it. And here's the thing: when you are confident, when you focus on yourself, when you grow, when you shine, you don't have to worry about whether or not he comes back. Because confidence is a magnet. Confidence is attractive. Confidence draws people in. Confidence commands respect. Ladies, I want you to think about the kind of life you want, the kind of love you want, the kind of respect you want, the kind of happiness you deserve. And then I want you to commit to focusing on yourself, commit to growing, commit to shining, commit to becoming the prize. Because when you do, everything changes. Your energy changes, your presence changes, your relationships change, and the people around you change. You stop chasing the wrong people. You start attracting the right people. You stop begging for attention. You start commanding respect. You stop worrying about whether or not he comes back. You start living a life that is full, vibrant, joyful, and magnetic. And that, ladies, is the power of focusing on yourself, growing, shining, and becoming the prize. Absence and confidence make him notice and appreciate you. Now, ladies, let's get real about this one, because so many of us get caught up in the trap of constant availability, constant attention, constant effort, and we forget a simple truth: absence creates value. Yes, absence creates value. I want you to hear me loud and clear. When you are always there, when you are always reachable, when you are always bending over backwards to make him happy, to prove your love, to remind him of your worth, what do you think that does to him? It diminishes your value. It makes you ordinary. It makes your love seem easy. And anything that is too easy is often taken for granted. Men, in general, are wired to notice what they have to work for, to pursue, to fight for, to earn. And when you are constantly present, constantly chasing, constantly giving without boundaries, he doesn't have to work. He doesn't have to notice. He doesn't have to appreciate. And that, ladies, is why absence is so powerful. Absence is not about playing games. It's not about being petty. It's about creating space for him to see what he's missing. It's about giving him the opportunity to recognize your value, to feel your presence in your absence, and to appreciate you on a deeper level. Now, let me tell you something else about absence. Absence is not just about staying away physically. It's about creating an aura of independence and confidence. It's about living your life fully, thriving in your own world, and not waiting around for someone else to validate your existence. When you are absent in the right way, when you are confidently present in your own life, it forces him to acknowledge your worth. He starts to notice the things he overlooked when you were constantly available. He starts to miss your laughter, your energy, your smile, your presence. He starts to remember why he fell in love with you in the first place. Absence paired with confidence is like a double punch. It makes him realize that you are not just someone who will always be there, that you are a woman of substance, of standards, of self-respect, and that he better step up if he wants to be part of your life. Confidence, ladies, is key here. Absence without confidence is just being distant or ignoring someone, and that can come across as petty or insecure. But absence with confidence is magnetic. It's irresistible. It's commanding. It's saying without words, I am whole. I am independent. I am valuable. And if you want to be part of my life, you have to recognize that and rise to the occasion. Confidence is the energy that makes absence effective. Confidence is what makes him notice, think, and appreciate you. Confidence is what makes him realize she's not just anyone. She's someone I can't take for granted. She's someone I need to fight for, or someone I need to value, someone I need to respect. And that, ladies, is the difference between being just another option and being the prize. Let me give you a little story to illustrate this. I know a woman, let's call her Jasmine. Jasmine was in a situation where her man was distant, distracted, and not fully appreciating her. She used to call him constantly, text him nonstop, show up uninvited, trying to remind him of her love and worth. She was exhausted, frustrated, and her self-esteem was taking a hit. One day, she made a choice. She decided to step back. She stopped chasing. She stopped texting him all the time. She focused on herself, her friends, her hobbies, her career, and her passions. She wasn't doing it to punish him. She wasn't doing it out of spite. She was doing it because she valued herself and recognized that her energy was too precious to waste on someone who wasn't fully appreciating it. And guess what happened? Within weeks, he started noticing. He started calling more. He started showing up. He started making an effort. Why? Because her absence created space for him to see what he was missing. Her confidence made him realize that she wasn't someone to take for granted. Her value became undeniable because she stopped giving it away freely. And that, ladies, is the power of absence and confidence working together. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but if I step back, won't he just move on? And here's the truth, he might. But let me ask you, do you want someone who stays because they are chasing you relentlessly? Or do you want someone who stays because they see your value, because they respect you, because they genuinely appreciate you? See, there's a difference. There's a huge difference. When you are absent and confident, you are not just creating desire, you are creating respect, you are creating admiration. You are creating a dynamic where he must earn the right to be in your life. And that, my friends, is the kind of love that lasts, the kind of love that is genuine, the kind of love that is reciprocal. Absence and confidence also give you clarity. When you step back and focus on yourself, you gain perspective. You start to see the relationship for what it truly is rather than what you wish it could be. You start to recognize patterns, behaviors, and dynamics that were previously hidden in the chaos of constant interaction. You start to see whether he truly values you or not. You start to understand if he is capable of giving the respect and love you deserve. And when you have that clarity, you are empowered to make decisions that honor your worth. Protect your heart and create the life and love you deserve. You are no longer lost in the haze of chasing, begging, or pleading. You are grounded, focused, and in control. Confidence paired with absence also strengthens your boundaries. It teaches both you and him what is acceptable and what is not. It teaches him that your time, your attention, and your love are not commodities to be taken lightly. It shows him that you value yourself enough to step back when necessary and that you will not tolerate disrespect, neglect, or indifference. And let me tell you, ladies, men respect boundaries more than anything else. Men may test them, sure, but they respect them. They understand that a woman with clear boundaries and confidence is someone who commands value and is not easily swayed by games, manipulation, or casual attention. Absence and confidence together are like a natural filter. They separate those who are willing to rise to your level from those who are not. Now, Let's talk about the psychological aspect of absence and confidence. When you are absent, your energy shifts. You are no longer giving him constant attention. And that scarcity creates desire. Human nature responds to what is not always available. When something is too easy to get, it is often undervalued. When something is scarce, when it requires effort, when it is paired with confidence, it becomes highly desirable. Your absence makes him think, reflect, and question. He begins to realize that your presence was not just convenient, it was valuable. He begins to feel the void you leave behind, the gap in his life. And he begins to appreciate the love, the energy, and the presence you bring to the table. And that appreciation is genuine because it is not forced. It is not manufactured. It is not a response to pleading. It is a natural result of your absence combined with your confidence. Ladies, confidence is also about knowing your worth independently of anyone else's validation. It's about waking up every morning and saying, I am enough. I am worthy. I am valuable. And I will not compromise my dignity for someone who does not see it. Confidence is about living your life fully, thriving, laughing, loving, and enjoying yourself regardless of whether he notices or not. When you radiate that energy, when you show that self-assuredness, absence becomes even more powerful because it is not a punishment. It is a demonstration of your independence and your value. And when he sees that, he realizes that he is not dealing with a desperate woman. He is dealing with a strong, confident, magnetic woman whose attention and love must be earned, not begged for. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore communication completely. It doesn't mean you disappear without explanation or act cold or indifferent. It means you strategically create space. It means you invest in your life, your passions, your goals, and your joy. It means you show up fully for yourself first and allow him to notice what he has been missing. It means you stop chasing, stop pleading, stop trying to manufacture attention. It means you step into your power, step into your confidence, and let your presence and absence speak volumes. Let me remind you, ladies, that absence and confidence are not just tactics. They are a lifestyle. They are a mindset. They are a way of living that puts your worth, your energy, and your self-respect at the forefront. They are a way of living that ensures you are never diminished, never overlooked, and never undervalued. They are a way of living that draws the right people in and naturally filters out those who do not align with your value. And when you live this way, when you embrace absence and confidence fully, you create an environment where love, respect, and admiration are not optional. They are inevitable. When he comes back, he will return stronger and with respect. Ladies, this is the moment where all your patience, self-respect, and focus on yourself pay off. He sees the woman you've become, the confidence you radiate, the life you've built, and he realizes he can't take you for granted anymore. He comes back with appreciation, with effort, with the understanding that your love is not something to be begged for, it's earned. He respects your boundaries, values your presence, and shows up in ways he never did before. Because now he understands the depth of your worth.